Shalom, most high in Christ bless. That's right. All right, we got history in the AM. All right, we about to go in a little bit. Okay, I know it's still early. I would say it's bright and early, but it ain't bright. It's just early. All right, so we about to go in today. The title of the class is, hold on, where we at? The title of the class is Prophecy Fulfilled. All right, Prophecy Fulfilled, Colonialism and Apartheid in South Africa. All right, so if you've been under a rock, you probably missed out on the fact that we've been doing a lot of work, right? We've done a lot of work primarily in the west coast of Africa, in the south of Africa. We've been on the east of Africa. Okay, we talking about places like Mauritius. Some of y'all probably never even heard of Mauritius. But it is a slave port. It is where a lot of our people went. We went to Madagascar, okay, on the Quest 8. We did a lot of works there. And all throughout those places, what we did definitely see, number one, of course, we saw our people. But number two, we saw the footprint of the damn devil himself, Esau. All right, we saw the footprint of Esau. Anywhere Esau go, you see destruction will flow. Okay, and we saw a lot of the curses. We saw a lot of the destruction. We saw a lot of I don't want to say self-hate, but identity issues, right? There is a black identity crisis that we have. You understand that? So we're going to go into some of those things. We're going to touch on the curses. We're going to touch on what colonialism looks like. And we're going to touch on apartheid, things like that, okay, and what that is and what it looks like in today's world, all right? So let's get the book of Deuteronomy chapter 32, and we're going to start at verse 7. All right, we're going to start there. Because it is imperative, like no matter how smart we get in this world, no matter what we do or where we go, the Lord tells us to remember history. Okay, go ahead.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 32 and verse 7. Remember the days of old.
Do what?
Remember the days of old.
So remembering is a diligent type of thing. Like it's action behind it. It's a verb to remember something, meaning that you have to intentionally go out of your way to obtain something that was previously known or history. Read.
Consider the years of many generations.
Think about it. Don't just give up and don't care. Read.
Ask thy father.
Ask who?
Ask thy father. And he will show thee. Thy elders, and they will tell thee.
You see that? So it says that our fathers will tell us, and our fathers will show us, and our elders will tell thee. So what do? We go back into the Bible. We go back into history. We ask our leaders and our officers, our bishops and deacons, our history, because Esau's always going to lie to us. Always, always, always will lie to us. So history in the AM and things like this is very important for us to tune in so that we can understand our history. Ask our fathers and our elders, and they will show us. All right? Yeah. Give me, okay, that's it. Give me the book of Psalm 78. Psalm 78 and verse 5.
The book of Psalms, chapter 78 and verse 5.
Yes, sir.
For he established a testimony in Jacob and appointed a law in Israel, which he commanded our fathers, that they should make them known to their children.
That they should make them known to their children. So that's what we're talking about right now, all right? The testimony of the Lord, the history that he gave to us, and we have to make it known to our children. Is there more on that? Let's read down. Yeah, keep going.
Verse 6. That the generation to come might know them.
That what?
That the generation to come might know them.
When you look at the generations now, they don't know nothing about history. We was at camp yesterday, And you asked a brother, so by the way, I got Officer Uriah reading for me, all praises. But you asked him about Moses. Yeah, say something on that real quick. What happened?
Yeah, we asked a young man. He was about 17 years old, and we teaching. Asked him about Moses and the splitting of the Red Sea.
Right.
Pharaoh let my people go. Do you know about that? The young brother said no.
Yeah.
Never heard about it.
Never heard about it. But he also said he goes to the Christian church.
Right. He did.
So what happens in the Christian church? Right? They're not teaching the history. You can ask your elders all day long, and they not, well, baby, don't worry about it, baby. Jesus loves you. Praise the Lord. Ain't he good? Sing a song, right? Our people know, how to sing, how to jive and dance, but we don't know our history, and this is why this is important. Keep reading.
That the generation to come might know them, even the children which should be born, who should arise and declare them to their children.
Okay. It's a generational thing, right? When you look at the other nations, they have generational wealth. But when you look at the children of Israel, we tend to have what's called generational curses. You see that? The only way to break out of these curses starts with education. It starts with the commandments of God. It starts with identity. But when you lose all of those things, you have nothing. You're powerless as a people. Then you're forced to rely on the people that have power, and they're going to feed you your identity. They're going to feed you your culture. You understand that? Keep reading.
Verse 7. That they might set their hope in God and not forget the works of God.
And not what?
And not forget the works of God.
Start that part one more time. It said their hope in God.
That they might set their hope in God and not forget the works of God.
You see that? Our job is to teach our children not to forget the works of God. Why? So we can have hope in the deliverance, in the salvation, in the power and strength of the Lord our God, the Black Messiah. When you look at our communities, we don't have a lot of hope. We are a hopeless people from America to South Africa. And we're going to look at these things, okay? Because there is a stark comparison or a stark, I don't want to say difference, because usually we say difference, but it's a similarity between our people here in America. We talking about Judah. Yeah. And our people in South Africa. You understand? Read.
But keep his commandments and might not be as their fathers, a stubborn and rebellious generation.
Now, why do we educate? So that we can have not just hope, but the fear of the Lord, so that we're not a stubborn generation. When you look at our people, especially in South Africa, okay? I'm telling you, there's a place called Durban, South Africa. All right, I should have put some stuff here. They call it the Miami of South Africa. Now, when you have a Miami, you also have ratchetness. You have music that portrays ratchetness. You also have STDs and STIs, okay? STDs, STIs in Durban alone make up, it's 57% of the population there are plagued with some of those diseases. You understand that? So we have to teach these things so that our people are not rebellious. And what did it say? Read that last part again.
A stubborn and rebellious generation.
You see that? Stubborn as hell. Our people stubborn. All right. Now, before we get into the topic, go to 2nd Ezra 8 and 6. When you look at us as a generation from here to Africa, in South Africa, hey, those are some African Americans, okay? All right, Americanized Africans. There you go. I mean, obviously we know that they're Israel, but they carry themselves as African Americans, Americanized as I'll get out. All right, read that. We're talking about culture. We're talking about heritage. We're talking about us as a people. Come on. Yeah, 2nd Ezra 8 and 6.
The book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 8 and verse 6.
Come on.
Come on.
O Lord, if thou suffer not thy servant, that we may pray before thee, and thou give us seed unto our hearts.
So we have to have a seed of righteousness. Return our laws, return the word and history back into a hard head and an impudent mind. Plant that seed within our hearts so that we can change. That's the prayer. Keep reading.
And culture to our understanding.
And what?
And culture to our understanding.
So we have to pray that the Lord returns culture to our understanding. Why? Because what we see today in America, what we think is ours, is not our culture. The Lord has to return our true culture to our understanding. What is our culture? It's our laws, our statutes, commandments. Our history has to be returned to our understanding.
That's right.
That there may come fruit of it.
And the goal is that we may have hope, that the generations to come may know that we may have fruit of it. There will be no more STIs and STDs, 57% of the population. There's no more murder. There's no more hatred amongst ourselves within our communities of the righteous. That's what the fruit is. Keep reading.
How shall each man live that is corrupt, who beareth the place of a man?
All right. How are we going to live that are corrupt, that live in these places with each other? How are we going to live together like that? We won't unless we come back to our culture, unless we come back to the law, statutes, and commandments, and it starts with history, our laws, and identity. All right? So that's why we're here, okay? That is why we are here today. Okay. Yeah. All right, so let's get into it a little bit. I want you to bring up that first article on what is apartheid. Sometimes we hear these words and we don't know what it is, okay? I want you to show these to your children so that they may know. Show these to your grandchildren, your aunties, your uncles, nephews, and nieces, okay? Very important. What is apartheid? And does the Bible talk about colonialism and apartheid? We're going to get it there, or we're going to get there and show you, okay? Bring that up for me when you're ready. Show me that good bean footage. You remember that? Yeah, Boston baked beans, all right? Vegetarian kind. Go ahead.
Apartheid. Apartheid was a system of institutionalized racial segregation and discrimination enforced by the white minority government of South Africa.
Wait a minute. It said racial segregation and discrimination enforced by white minority government of South Africa. Wait, that sounds like something that happened in the States as well.
What?
Okay, we're gonna get into that. 1948 to what?
1994.
94. Bro, that wasn't too long ago. You know what I mean? I mean, you ask like my son or something, he's going to say that was forever ago. But to us, right, to us that are seasoned, that wasn't too long ago, 1994. So this is recent, and the effects are still in place today. Keep reading.
It aimed to maintain the dominance of the white minority and suppress the rights and freedoms of the black majority.
You see that? The aim was to suppress and give dominance to the so-called white, because they're not white, they're red according to the Bible. They are Esau. Okay? It says the white minority and suppress the rights of freedoms of the black majority. Now, go to show more. I want to see some. Let's go more into detail on this. All right? Make sure that you show your children and that they know what the heck is going on in the world. All right, come on.
Segregation. Apartheid laws enforce strict racial segregation in all aspects of life.
In all aspects of life. Come on.
Including housing, education, employment, public facilities, and even social interaction.
Did that happen in America as well? The answer is yes, and I will prove that to you. Okay? I'm going to show you that apartheid not just happened in South Africa, but it happened right here in the States of America. It happened to us as a people. Because we think we divided. We're not divided. We're the same people. Okay? Keep going.
Discrimination. Non-white South Africans, particularly black people, face widespread discrimination in areas like political participation,
Okay.
economic opportunities,
Uh-huh.
and access to resources.
Okay. Read that one, the laws, and then we're going to go into some of this in Deuteronomy 28.
Laws. Several laws were enacted to implement apartheid, such as the Group Areas Act, which designated areas for different racial groups. The Bantu Education Act, which provided unequal education, and the Prohibition of Mixed Marriages Act.
Okay. So, it said several laws were enacted, implemented apartheid, such as the Groups Area Act. So this was, and I saw it, right? We'll talk about it a little bit later, how they put different they put different groups and they divide them, right? They divide them into 3 categories, and I think I have it in here. You have the Negroes, you have the colored, and then you have the so-called whites, okay? The Negro, black father, black mother, not racially ambiguous, meaning, they're not light-skinned, okay? Then you have the colored people, which you light-skinned brothers, you light-skinned sisters, okay? And it can also be those that have a so-called Edomite mother or Edomite father, right? Those would be called the colored people. And then you have Esau. So the colored people can't go where the Negroes go. And the Negroes can't go where the so-called white man go. And the colored can't go where the so-called white man go either. So they divided them into housing. They divided us into different categories just like that, okay? And the Bantu, which means Negroes, they were part of that same thing. They are the Israelites according to the Bible.
Yeah.
All right? And Bishop brought that out yesterday. So, let's just make sure we paying attention to these things. All right. I want to go to 2 Kings. 2 Kings chapter 17 and verse 24. We're going to do a little reading because history repeats itself. The Lord says that his judgments are like a ring. Okay?
The book of 2 Kings, chapter 17 and verse 24.
Come on.
And the king of Assyria brought men from Babylon, and from Cutha, and from Avah, and from Hamath, and from Sepharvaim, and placed them in the cities of Samaria instead of the children of Israel.
Right. So, under, who is it, Sargon II, you had Sennacherib, the king of Assyria. You had these kings that were coming in to take Israel and to colonize it. But when they overtook Israel, they did what? Read it again.
And the king of Assyria brought men from Babylon, and from Cutha, and from Avah, and from Hamath, and from Sepharvaim, and placed them in the cities of Samaria instead of the children of Israel.
You see that? So they took the children of Israel out, and they spread them throughout the country, and they took them to Assyria, and they brought in Babylonians. They brought in Cuthathites or whatever it is, right? They brought in different nations to cut us off from our culture. They brought in different nations to cut us off from our heritage. And then they taught us their laws, their customs. But guess what? When you have the Babylonians, when you have the Hamathites or whatever the case may be, when you have them there, the little remnant of Israel that still may be there, guess what? We learned their ways. We picked up their education. We picked up their languages as well. As we continue to see, we're going to hear something called Afrikaans. The hell is Afrikaans? Okay? It's a language that was mixed among the natives that were in Africa from the Dutch people. And it became a language called Afrikaans. Then you have a people called Afrikaners. We're going to go into all of this, okay? So keep reading.
And they possessed Samaria and dwelt in the cities thereof. And so it was at the beginning of their dwelling there that they feared not the Lord. Therefore the Lord sent lions among them, which slew some of them.
Okay.
Wherefore they spake to the king of Assyria, saying, the nations which thou hast removed and placed in the cities of Samaria, know not the manner of the God of the land. Therefore he hath sent lions among them, and behold, they slay them, because they know not the manner of the God of the land.
Right. So there was an ordinance that the Lord told us to keep the commandments of the land. We had to take care of the land itself. Make sure it had its Sabbath. Make sure that we wasn't killing each other and spreading bloodshed and all of this in the land. When the heathen came in, they didn't know nothing about that. But they had to learn the customs of the land. Okay? This is what they did. Read.
Verse 27. Then the king of Assyria commanded, saying, Carry thither one of the priests whom ye brought from thence.
So take them from Assyria and put them back in the land. Read.
And let them go and dwell there, and let him teach them the manner of the God of the land.
So teach him the commandments. Teach him certain things. Not so much how to be righteous, but just how to keep the Lord off our back. Right? So that we may dwell here in peace. So when you have different nations, like you'll see in Africa, they'll try to get on your good side. They'll try to give you certain things so that they can dwell safely among you. They'll know the culture of the land. They'll know everything they need to know so that they can overcome and overtake our brothers and sisters, not just in America, but in South Africa. Okay? We see that. Keep reading.
Then one of the priests whom they had carried away from Samaria came and dwelt in Bethel, and taught them how they should fear the Lord. Howbeit, every nation made gods of their own.
They did what?
Every nation made gods of their own,
And
put them in the houses of the high places which the Samaritans had made, every nation in their cities wherein they dwelt.
Right. And so what we're going to look at is what's called the Berlin Conference. We're going to look at how 14 different countries came and spread their philosophies, ideals, and culture on on Africa and South Africa. Okay? And with that comes traditions, it comes holidays, it comes religion, and setting up gods within these different areas that they've colonized. Okay? This is history, and this is what happened. So let's pay attention. Let's go to Deuteronomy real quick. Deuteronomy chapter 28, and let's start at verse 16.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, and verse 16.
Come on.
Cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the
The
field.
Lord said that we will be cursed in the city and will be cursed in the field. Why? Read verse 15.
Verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
You see that? These curses will overtake us. It will come upon us, and we will be able to see these curses as we go through history. Okay. Now, there's 4 things that Deuteronomy 28, verses 15 through 28 talks about. Okay, and I want you to take note. Number 1, it's slavery. Slavery is outlined and talked about or briefly summarized in Deuteronomy 28, 15 through 68. Number 1 is slavery. Number 2 is colonialism. All right, this is what Deuteronomy 28, 15 through 68 talks about. Number 3 is loss of identity. All right, number 3 is loss of identity. And number 4 is oppression. Those 4 things. All right, so we have slavery, colonialism, loss of identity, and oppression. Okay, and you can put apartheid right there in there with oppression. Okay, all praises. Read verse 16.
Verse 16. Cursed shalt thou be in the city.
So what is that cursed in the city? Well, it looks like discrimination. It looks like apartheid. It looks like Jim Crow over here in America. It's all the same thing. We're going to talk about it. Cursed in the city. Read.
And cursed shalt thou be in the field.
Cursed shalt thou be in the field. not just was it the slave fields that we were in, because when we look at it, and I want to share this, I forgot to send it. I'm going to share it now. Our people were forced to work in sugarcane fields, forced to work in tobacco fields, right? From America to South Africa. I'm going to send this to you. I want you to pull this up real quick. We got a lot of images and a lot of things we want to go into so our people can see. Uh-oh, what was that? Let me know when you got it. All right, read it again.
Cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field.
Okay, keep reading.
Cursed shall be thy basket and thy store. Cursed shall be the fruit of thy body, and the fruit of thy land, the increase of thine kind, and the flocks of thy sheep. Cursed shalt thou be when thou comest in, and cursed shalt thou be when thou goest out.
So it says, cursed shalt thou be when thou comest into the world, and cursed shalt thou be when it goest out of the world. Meaning that you will be able to see these curses on a people when they're born, or when they're going into, or when they're dying out of this world. Before we pull that picture, read verse 16 one more time. It said, cursed be in the city, and cursed in the what?
And cursed shalt thou be in the field.
And cursed shall thou be in the field. Get Matthew chapter 13 and verse 38. So no matter where we go, our people are cursed in the city, and we're cursed in the field. Not just the slave fields or the sugarcane and the plantations, but what else? Read that.
The book of Matthew, chapter 13 and verse 38.
Okay.
Come on.
The field is the world.
The what?
The field is the world.
Come on.
The good seed are the children of the kingdom, but the tares are the children of the wicked one. The enemy that sowed them is the devil.
You see that? So the Lord said the field is the world. Wherever we go throughout the whole world, guess what? We are a cursed people, or we're under the curses. And Esau hate us. They're going to sow tares, they're going to sow wheat, or they're going to sow tares and thistles and all of this within the congregations, within our spirit and within our mind. All right? They are the devil the Bible speaks of. Bring that picture up, the one that I showed you. So we're looking at Cape Verde. We're looking at Cape Town. We're looking at the Cape of Good Hope, all of that stuff. All right? Bring that up. Or, yeah, read that for me.
Yes. Slave ships did pick up enslaved people from Cape Verde during the transatlantic slave trade. Here's a more detailed explanation. Cape Verde as a hub. The Cape Verde archipelago, located off the coast of West Africa, became a major hub in the transatlantic slave trade after being colonized by the Portuguese in the mid-15th century. Role in the trade. The island served as a convenient stopover for ships traveling along the African coast and played a key role in facilitating the transportation of enslaved people to the Americas.
Okay.
Enslaved people in Cape Verde. Enslaved Africans were not only transported through Cape Verde, but were also used on the islands themselves, primarily on sugar plantations and later in other sectors.
Okay, now bring up the second one that I brought. So we got Cape Verde on the west coast of Africa. It was used as like a pit stop, right? Then you took the people that were brought from different regions of Africa and to work within Cape Verde. Now let's look at Cape Town. This is one place that we definitely want to talk about, okay? Read that. Go up. Okay, yeah, start there.
Yes, Cape Town was a significant port for the slave trade in South Africa. While not a direct port for the transatlantic slave trade, Cape Town served as a major hub for receiving and selling slaves.
Doing what?
For receiving and selling slaves.
Now, hold that. Get Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 46.
The book of Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 46. And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever.
And upon thy seed forever. What are these things? Go to verse 45.
Verse 45. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee and shall pursue thee and overtake thee till thou be destroyed,
Mhm.
because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded thee.
You see that? These curses are going to be upon the children of Israel for a sign and a wonder forever. So when we look throughout history, this apartheid, this slave trade, all of this stuff, we should be able to see that who it applies to. It is the children of Israel. Go to verse 33. Watch this.
Verse 33.
Uh-huh.
The fruit of thy land and all thy labors shall a nation which thou knowest not eat up.
You see that? A nation, a different nation is going to come into our land and eat up our resources, our natural resources, and they will eat it up and we will not get it back. Read.
And thou shalt be only oppressed and crushed always.
Dang. It says the best you're going to get is oppressed. The greatest, no matter how many revolutionists you have, no matter what you do, the greatest that you're going to get to is only oppressed. That's it. It may look like a different form of oppression, but it's going to be oppression nonetheless. Okay? And this is one thing we cannot forget. Go to verse 48.
Verse 48.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies,
Our who?
our enemies,
Uh-huh.
which the Lord shall send against thee,
Mm-hmm.
in hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things.
Uh-huh.
And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck.
Did that not happen to us? Yes, it did. Not only did it happen to us here, it's still happening to our brothers and sisters in the Congo, still happening to our brothers and sisters in South Africa. It's still happening. Okay, let's go back to that picture and we'll finish verse 48 and 68 in a second. Go back, read that. Start from the top.
Yes, Cape Town was a significant port for the slave trade in South Africa. While not a direct port for the transatlantic slave trade, Cape Town served as a major hub for receiving and selling slaves, particularly those brought from East Africa and Madagascar.
Wow, we went there. Come on.
The Dutch East Indian Company, VOC, established a refreshment station at the Cape in 1652.
Don't that sound good? It sounds like a vending machine, a refreshment station.
What?
But that's where they brought our brothers and sisters as slaves. Read.
Which later became a center for the slave trade.
Wow. Became a center for the slave trade. What? To get Negro refreshments. You see that? We got to look into these things. This is what happened. Okay? It's not just a place for vacation. You had things like Sarah Bartman that came out of South Africa, where they killed our sister, put her on display, raped our sister, and her body and remains are still in museums to today. We ain't going to talk about that now, but we're going to talk about it later. Not today, but later, Lord willing. Okay? Read.
Early slave trade. The VOC initially used slaves for labor in the colony, and the practice expanded significantly in the late 17th century when the Dutch merchantman Amersfoort arrived in Cape Town with a cargo of 174 slaves in 1685.
You see what they call us? A cargo of slaves. This is some heavy verbiage right here. Making sure y'all pay attention to this. All right? It's merchandise, refreshments. Keep reading.
Shift in slave sources. Over time, the Cape slave population shifted from Asian origins to predominantly African and Malagasy.
Malagasy are those of Madagascar. Come on. Our brothers and sisters in Madagascar. Israelites. Come on.
Ships carrying slaves from East Africa and Madagascar regularly docked at Cape Town.
Why? Because it was a refreshment station. You see that? That's how they refer to it. Okay? Go to verse 48 one more time.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee.
Until he has destroyed you from your culture, your laws, your statutes, your commandments, your heritage. Then you think you become African. Then you think you become, a Gentile. You understand? And this is why we have to get into the minds of our people so that the Lord can plant a good seed within us that it may bear good fruit. Okay, go to verse 68.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 68.
I'm sorry.
Come on.
No, 64.
Verse 64.
Mhm.
And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from the one end of the earth even unto the other. And there shalt thou serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone.
Right, even wood and stone. So when we was in South Africa, I was talking to a brother. I'm like, look, there's no difference between me and you. The biggest difference, if there is a difference, or the only difference is my people, or I was taken and born in America. You were left behind. We could be cousins. We could be brothers, distant relatives from the same literal family tree. We were just separated. Okay? And then he started to understand. Oh, you are my brother. Yes, I'm your brother. Okay? Keep reading.
And among these nations shalt thou find no ease.
And among these nations shalt thou find no ease. We're going to see that our people had no ease, and we have no ease, whether it's in South Africa or whether it's right here in America. Come on.
Neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest.
Come on.
But the Lord shall give thee there a trembling heart, and failing of eyes, and sorrow of mind.
What is that? A continual worry, continual stress, continual fear for not just our lives, but our children. We don't know if they're coming home tonight after school or whatever the case may be. That happens to us and no other nations. Pay attention. Come on.
And thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and have none assurance of thy life.
No assurance of our life. That's why we go from day to day like we have no care in the world, because we have no assurance. We don't know if we're going to be here the next day. So what? We got to live it up while we can. Okay, we have to live it up while we can. But let's go into a little bit more of this history. Let's talk about the Berlin Conference. Okay, let's talk about the Berlin Conference, and then we're going to finish verse 68 a little bit later. All right, what is the Berlin Conference? Bring that up. Go ahead.
The Berlin Conference, also known as the Berlin West Africa Conference, was a meeting of European powers in 1884 to 1885 that aimed to regulate colonialism and trade in Africa during the new imperialism era.
Right, so it was a meeting between Esau to talk about how they were going to conquer or control Africa and its resources. Come on.
It was organized by Otto von Bismarck, the German chancellor, and involved representatives from 14 countries.
Remember that, 14 different countries. We're going to look at these 14 countries here in a bit. Come on.
The conference resulted in the General Act of Berlin, an agreement that outlined rules for claiming territory and establishing free trade within the Congo River Basin.
So this meeting, it said, you know what, we got to have rules among us because we're an unruly people. We're going to see what we can do, what we can't do, okay? And then we're going to put it as a rule of thumb for all nations, all these 14 nations that came together. Keep reading that. Go down. Let's talk about purpose.
Key aspects of the Berlin Conference. Purpose. The conference was convened to address growing competition among European powers for African territory and to prevent potential conflicts.
Okay, now go to the map that I posted. So we're talking about colonialism right now after the Berlin Conference from 1884 to 1885. All right, bring up that map. Let's look at it. Zoom in a little bit. So, these are the countries of Africa, all right? And when you look at it, all these nations have had a hand in the downfall or the Hellenization of our people. Go down. All the way. At the bottom, right there where it says British, that's South Africa, okay? And more specifically, at the very bottom, it is Cape Town. Okay, Cape Town, South Africa. That's where we were on the quest. Okay, and we had eyes on and boots on the ground. So it says British here. Why does it say British here? Because they were the first to do it, but the Dutch came in and got it from the British. Okay, so you will see British and Dutch influence in Cape Town in South Africa. Okay, now bring up the next one. The next one, where it says 14 countries in Berlin Conference. Let's look at the 14 countries that were in Berlin Conference. All right. Let's talk about it.
14 countries attended the Berlin Conference.
So remember we read in 2 Kings how Assyria and how the kings of Assyria would remove us out of our place and put other nations inside of our regions, inside of our just regions, okay, in our cities. Read.
13 of these were from Europe: Austria, Hungary, Belgium, Denmark, France.
Who?
France.
Go ahead.
Germany, Italy, Netherlands, Ottoman Empire, Portugal, Russia, Spain, Sweden, Norway, and the United Kingdom. The only non-European country to attend was the United States.
Right, and the United States was part of that too. You see that? So, you know, our people, we got to understand, why were we colonized like this? Because the scripture said, until we be destroyed. All of these countries had to come against us. That's how strong we were. You got to send 14 different powers to come against us to destroy us as a people. You see that? So what are we going to do to get our knowledge and our culture and our heritage back? We have to come together and keep God's commandments. Yeah. All right, go to Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 68.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 68.
Come on.
And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
Slavery with ships. Come on.
By the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies.
So once we were brought off from the west coast, the south, the east of Africa, some of us, a lot of us were brought here into America. And once we got here, what happened? Thou shalt be sold.
There ye shall be sold unto your enemies.
We were sold unto our enemies. For what?
For bondmen and bondwomen. And no man shall buy you.
And no man shall buy us or redeem us, or no matter how hard they fought for us, we still would not be able to get our freedom as a people. We might be able to get some liberties, but that's not freedom, okay? And you'll see that in Africa, and you'll see it here in America as well. All right, pull up what is apartheid, and then we'll get Ezekiel chapter 35. What is apartheid? Yep, that's good right there. That's it. That is it. Bring that up. Go ahead.
Apartheid. Apartheid was a system of institutionalized racial segregation and discrimination enforced by the white minority government of South Africa from 1948 to 1994.
Okay, come on.
It aimed to maintain the dominance of the white minority and suppress the rights and freedoms of the black majority.
Okay, so we read that. I just wanted to be fresh in your minds. It's racial segregation for the so-called white minority and to depress or oppress the black minority. Okay, bring up that video, apartheid in South Africa. What does that look like? Yep, that's it right there. Go ahead.
Till just a few decades ago, racial segregation was legally permitted in South Africa. The legal policy of apartheid used discrimination, physical separation.
Pause it right there. Go back a little bit. So I want y'all to look at the bottom where it says apartheid. Reverse it just a little bit. Just a little bit more. Okay, press play and then pause it when the definition comes up. It says this list is for Europeans only. Go ahead.
Decades ago, racial segregation was legally permitted in South Africa.
All right, it says apartheid, apartness in Afrikaans, in the Afrikaans language. Okay, it means apartness. That's what apartheid means. Okay, so legal racial segregation, and apartheid means apartness. Means get the hell away from us. Okay, so take note of that. That's what it means. Apartness is apartheid. Legal segregation. Go ahead.
The legal policy of apartheid used discrimination, physical separation, economic exploitation, and political oppression to keep power, wealth,
Dang, he
and
got that
land
extended
for
clip on that thing. You seen it? It said, warning, beware of natives on the sign. Keep going.
the minority white population. Even before apartheid, however, South Africa was highly segregated.
Pause that.
Read that. The Dutch East Indian Company created the first European settlement in South Africa in 1652.
All right. They've been doing this before apartheid. It was the Dutch that came in. Come on, press the video.
Native South Africans were subjected to colonial rule when Europeans arrived and colonized the country. After apartheid began, the all-white government separated people into categories: Bantu, colored, or white.
Pause that. You see that? So they separated us, and we were destroyed as a people. So you have Bantu, which means black people, Negroes. Then you have the color, which is you light-skinned brothers and sisters. And then you have the so-called enemy, or so-called white man, which is the enemy of God. All right, and then a fourth category was later where it says Asian or Indian, which goes into our northern kingdom brothers and sisters. Okay, go ahead.
The Group Areas Act of 1950 and other following laws called for the country to be mapped out, supposedly setting aside areas for people of each race to work and live. However, what they actually did was give 80% of the land to the white population.
Damn!
The areas and schools for non-whites were smaller, poorer.
70% of the population was given
only
13% of the territory.
You see that? And 80% of it was given to for the nations to rule. That's heavy. And then a little bit that they gave to us, it was bottom. Look how we sitting on the ground just to get an education. It's always been like this. Come on.
And more rural. Civil disobedience in response began by 1952. One of the biggest protests occurred in Sharpeville in 1960 over pass laws, which required non-whites to carry documents to prove they were allowed to be in certain areas.
What was that?
1960. Black, colored, and Asian citizens protest their treatment by the government.
Right. So in the 1960s, what was happening in America during the 1960s? 65, 69. Was there not civil rights movements happening here? You got to put these things together and understand our people are the same, y'all. Okay, so they started to revolt. They started to be mad because now they had to carry passes to show that they belonged in certain regions or certain areas and cities. You got to get a hall pass to walk in your own country. What? Come on, play that.
This restricted the lives of the majority of the people even more. The UN General Assembly denounced apartheid in 1973. In 1976, a student protest in Soweto against the mandatory use of Afrikaans, the language of the white.
It said that the students now started to revolt because they had to, it was mandatory that they learn a language called Afrikaans. So, not only did they change their culture, they changed the way that they had to carry themselves about their own country, but now they changed the language and it was mandatory. Reverse it a little bit and then play it. Let's see what this Afrikaans is. Because when we were out there, we were given flyers. We had to give some in Zulu. We had to give some in Hausa. I think it's XHO or something like that, but you got to put the click in there, okay? And then there was Afrikaans flyers that we had to give. And then Dutch. I think there were Dutch flyers or whatever the case may be. But rewind it and play it a little bit more.
The UN General Assembly denounced apartheid in 1973. In 1976, a student protest in Soweto against the mandatory use of Afrikaans, the language of the white government, in schools, sparked 9 months of uprisings and increased international criticism of apartheid. In 1985, both the US and the UK issued sanctions against South Africa, helping lead to the repeal of past laws. The president, F.W. de Klerk, freed political prisoners and lifted the ban on black nationalist parties in 1990.
On what? Black nationalist parties. Ain't that something? It's the same exact thing. It sound like, yeah, you said it. It sound like COINTELPRO, right? The destruction of the black communities, black identity, history, culture, breaking it down. You got to lift the ban and get them out of prison. I was just watching a movie about the Black Panther Party when I was on a 14-hour plane ride. About the Black Panther Party, okay? Black nationalists, learning how to get their national or their national identity back as a people. But Esau always wants to oppress that. Even right now, we are nationalists. Why? Because we love our nation. We love the fact that we are the Israelites according to the Bible. And we're not going to stop, okay? Finish that out. Finish that video.
The end of apartheid had begun. Following negotiations between the government and anti-apartheid leaders, a new constitution was passed in 1993. Black South Africans were allowed to vote for the first time
Okay,
in
stop. So here's a little bit of a gift. We're going to allow you to vote. We're going to allow you to think that you have some type of benefits, that you have some type of identity within the culture, within what we've established here. We destroyed you, but we're going to give you a little bit of voting. That's the same thing they did to black people here. Make them feel included. That's something, ain't it? Keep playing.
Black South Africans were allowed to vote for the first time in 1994, and Nelson Mandela was elected as the country's first black president. Today, the country is officially desegregated. People are allowed to live where they want and move freely within the country.
Pause that. Now, it said it's officially desegregated. It's not officially desegregated. Now, the white-only signs and stuff have come down, but as we're going to look a little bit later today, it is not desegregated. The culture's still there, right? The hatred is still there. You got something called Afrikaners Refuge. If it was all good, why they talk about they gotta seek asylum in America? We may touch on that a little bit later today. All right, but keep playing that out. Let's finish, and then we get Ezekiel 35.
But 3 decades after apartheid ended, it's still considered the most unequal country in the world, with most South Africans living in poverty. 80% of the nation's wealth is still controlled by the richest 10%.
You see that? That's still, she just contradicted herself. Reverse it a little bit. She said apartheid, even though apartheid had ended, and she said it's not segregated, she also said that it's still unequal. Okay, rewind that a little bit and play it some more. And
still considered the most unequal country in the world, with most South Africans living in poverty. 80% of the nation's wealth is still controlled by the richest 10% of the population, most of whom are white. An enduring legacy of apartheid.
You see that? So that means that it still exists. It's still happening. And the effects of that, until we be destroyed, is still going on to today. All right? Don't let these people fool you. All right? Get Ezekiel chapter 35 and verse, I believe it's 5.
The book of Ezekiel, chapter 35 and verse 5.
Come on!
Because thou hast a perpetual hatred, and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword, in the time of their calamity, and the time that their iniquity had an end.
Right. So when our iniquity had an end, guess what? Esau still continued to shed blood by force. They still continue to kill us. They still continue to do things like apartheid, illegal segregation of the people. They still continued and continue to do this till today. Was there more on that? Okay, get to Genesis chapter 49 and start at verse 8. Okay, Genesis chapter 49 and verse 8.
The book of Genesis, chapter 49 and verse 8.
Come on.
Judah, thou art he whom thy brethren shall praise.
Come on.
Thy hand shall be in the neck of thine enemies.
Thy hand shall be in the neck of thine enemies. To do what? To choke out the lies and to fight face to face with the enemy of the people. Who are the enemy? Esau. It said 14 European countries. Those are the enemies. So not only in America are we in the neck of our enemies, but our brothers from Judah, right there in South Africa, are in the hands of their enemies, or the neck of their enemies, fighting oppression, fighting apartheid, fighting legal segregation. You understand that? Till this day. Keep reading.
Thy father's children shall bow down before thee.
Uh-huh.
Judah is a lion's whelp.
Judah is a lion's whelp, which means they're strong. They're ready for the fight. Put us on the front line. We're going to lead by example. Okay? Read.
From the prey, my son, thou art gone up.
From the prey, my son, thou art gone up. Read.
He stooped down. He couched as a lion and as a old.
Wait. He stooped down and what?
He couched as a lion.
He couched as a lion, ready to pounce on the prey. When you look at in 1960s in apartheid, they was fighting. They was rebelling. The students was giving back. They was punching people. They were ready to fight back, and they were fighting back. That's the same thing during the civil rights here in America. You had the Black Panther Party. You had MLK. You had Malcolm X. Okay, they were preparing. They were organizing. They had different nationalists and black nationalist groups, and they were united as a people against one common interest, and that was the freedom from the oppression of the so-called white man. They couched down. They were ready in South Africa. They were ready here in America. The only difference is, again, we were spread into two different places and sold as slaves. But the curses and the blessings, what would happen to us would still remain on us, whether it was in South Africa or here in America. That's what we're reading. Read.
And as an old lion, who shall rouse him up?
And now it said, thou art gone up. It says he's a couch as a lion. He stooped down. He was strong and ready. But now it says that is an old lion. How did we go from being strong, young, and ready to pounce on the prey to now a old lion? You see that? Because just like COINTELPRO, like you brought out, they gave them voting rights in South Africa. They gave them different benefits. You understand that? And it destroyed the heart. It destroyed the warrior mindset. And that's why we had to go back and wake our brothers and sisters up in South Africa. We had to go back, put boots on the ground, and we going back again to wake our brothers and sisters up in South Africa. Wake them up in Madagascar. Wake up our people, okay? Go back and read verse 9 one more time.
Verse 9. Judah is a lion's whelp. From the prey, my son, thou art gone up.
Now read verse 8.
Judah, thou art he whom thy brethren shall praise.
How is Judah he whom thou brethren shall praise? Who are the brethren? The rest of the tribes. The rest of the tribes of Israel, and I'm going to say it like this, and the Judites that are lost in South Africa and scattered throughout Africa as well. The Bantu and Zulu people. We coming back for you. Okay, we have not and will not forget about you. Go to Deuteronomy chapter 33 and verse 7. Read that.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 33 and verse 7.
Uh-huh.
And this is the blessing of Judah.
Of who?
Of Judah.
Okay.
And he said, hear, Lord, the voice of Judah, and bring him unto his people.
It says, hear the voice of Judah and bring him to his people. First, it's talking about his people within the tribe of Judah that are scattered, but it's also talking about his brethren, the rest of the tribes of Israel. Now you got to think about it. How is Judah going to be brought unto his people? Judah got to travel. What do we have here in America that a lot of different countries don't have within the other tribes? We have passports. We're able to get out and to go to these other countries. That's why Judah is he who his brethren shall praise and bring him unto his people. Because we're going to do things like the quest. We have things like the Boosters Club to help us get out to our brothers and sisters, like in South Africa, to let them know that they are the children of Israel. You suffer from apartheid. You suffer from colonialism. You suffer from oppression. Guess what? So do we. And we're going to bring these laws back to you so that you may have culture and the Lord may put seed into your mind so you can bear good fruits. Read it one more time.
And this is the blessing of Judah. And he said, Hear, Lord, the voice of Judah, and bring him unto his people. Let his hands be sufficient for him, and be thou an help to him from his enemies.
And be a help to him from his enemies. So what you see, these certain things that we have here that we can do in America that a lot of countries and a lot of different places can't do, that's the Lord being a help against our enemies so that we can go out and wake up the 12 tribes of Israel, including our brothers, the tribe of Judah scattered in South Africa. All right. And of course, different places in Africa, but we're talking about South Africa today. All right. We're making a comparison and a similarity to what and who we are. Okay. Now let's continue on that. That made sense, right? Did that make sense? Okay. All right. Now we talking. Yeah. All right. Go to Zechariah chapter 1 and verse 15. Okay. Now we read that our people are not our people, but that Esau, oh wait, I don't think we did. But they have a hatred for us, okay? A perpetual hatred. There's one I think in Ezekiel 36. Read what you have, and then we'll go to Ezekiel 36.
The book of Zechariah, chapter 1 and verse 15.
Come on.
And I am very sore displeased with the heathen that are at ease. For I was but a little displeased, and they helped forward the affliction.
They did what?
They helped forward the affliction.
So the Lord said he was a little displeased with the children of Israel. When you read the curses, when you read the things that happen to us and that's happening to us, that was just the Lord being a little displeased. Imagine us making him all the way upset. That's called what? The second death. That's called nuclear fire. But the result of him being a little displeased brought in the Berlin Conference. It brought in segregation, apartheid, colonialism. But not only that, the nations went to further those things, made apartheid worse, put in different laws to make our life hell on earth. You think you good. You're not good. No, you're not. No, you're not. Okay? We need help. And the only way we're going to get help is through keeping God's commandments. We got to learn this history, y'all. Read it one more time.
Zechariah chapter 1 and verse 15. And I am very sore displeased with the heathen that are at ease. For I was but a little displeased, and they helped forward the affliction.
They helped forward the affliction. Okay? Go to Ezekiel 36 in verse 5. I think this is the one I wanted. Yeah. This is it. Okay, I'll praise it.
The book of Ezekiel, chapter 36 and verse 5.
Come on.
Therefore, thus saith the Lord God, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen, and against all Idumea.
Against all who?
All Idumea.
Right, you think it's just one people, but it's all Idumea. Who is Idumea? It is Esau, the so-called white man today. Those 14 countries that you read of, including America, okay? That's Idumea. Read.
Which have appointed my land into their possession.
Who did what?
Appointed my land into their possession.
Appointed my land into their possession. When you look at Israel itself, it was appointed into the possession of Idumea. Right. What was it? May 14th, 1948. That's when you had Esau go into our land, and they started to do 2 Kings chapter 17. The same thing that we read. Then they started to learn the laws of the land so that the Lord wouldn't just put them to death. But then you also look at the other lands of Africa, the whole region, the whole country, the whole continent, and in America. You understand that? So Idumea spread down wherever we were. Okay, go ahead.
With the joy of all their heart, with despiteful minds to cast it out for a prey.
Okay, read from all Idumea one more time.
And against all Idumea, which have appointed my land into their possession, with the joy of all their heart.
With the joy of all their heart. They love creating new laws. And now they have a conference talking about, hey, look. I know we here. We're going to limit the competition between each other. Okay? And we're going to put some rules. We got to put rules down. You understand? Keep reading.
With despiteful minds to cast it out for a prey.
To cast it out for a prey. Why? For the other European so-called Jews. You understand? Like those that were in Poland and Russia. Those that come from France and Germany. You understand that? They appointed my land into their possession with the joy of all their heart, with the spiteful minds, and to cast it out for a prey. Okay, that's what happened. Give me let me see. I want to go to Judges 3 and 13 real quick. We got a few minutes, and then we're going to hit the rest of these definitions real quick. Judges 3 and 13, I think I said.
The book of Judges, chapter 3 and verse 13.
Come on.
And he gathered unto him the children of Ammon and Amalek, and went and smote Israel, and possessed the city of palm trees.
A city of what?
City of palm trees.
City of palm trees. Come on.
So the children of Israel served Eglon, the king of Moab, 18 years.
The nations always wanted not just Israel, but wherever we were. You see that? They wanted wherever we were, that's what they wanted. And then they put the other nations there with all the joy of their heart, with spiteful minds. All right? So write this down, okay? Let's go to what is Afrikaners. I have brought that up. Afrikaners, and then you can go to Leviticus chapter 26. We're looking at the stark comparison or similarities that the Bible has between us here in America and our brothers in South Africa. All right? Apartheid and colonialism. What is Afrikaners? Yep, that's it right there.
Afrikaners. Afrikaners are descendants of European immigrants who settled in South Africa, primarily Dutch, French Huguenots, and Germans.
What? Don't that sound crazy? You're a French, I'm a Huguenot. Stupid, read.
Who arrived at the Cape of Good Hope during the 17th and 18th centuries.
Right. Now, Cape of Good Hope was also called the Cape of Storms. But to make it less aggressive, they called it the Cape of Good Hope. They tried to make I want to say unclean thing clean. You understand?
What?
Right there in the Indian Ocean. Remember when the Lord said he had to still the floods in the waters because it was turbulent? That's that same area right there. Okay, keep reading.
They later developed a distinct culture and language known as Afrikaans.
You see that? So Afrikaans is a language that was developed from these Edomite nations that settled in our land. Read.
Which is a language derived from Dutch.
Which is a language derived from Dutch. So when you look at Afrikaans, and when you look at the people who are called Afrikaners, it's talking about Edomites. It's all the same thing. Because you look at it and be like, oh, man, we got a dialect. Afrikaans. No, that's Idumean language. All right, from when our land was colonized. All right. Go to Leviticus chapter 26 and verse 26 and verse, oh, I'm not even there. Just start at verse 17. I like that one.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 26 and verse 17. And I will set my face against you, and ye shall be slain before your enemies.
That happened to us here in America, and it happened to us in South Africa. Come on.
They that hate you shall reign over you.
You see that? It said, they that hate you shall reign over you. You're going to have governments. You're going to have apartheid, segregation, laws, Jim Crow, black codes, redlining, all of these things happened in South Africa, and it happened to our brothers and sisters here in America as well. Get the picture, people. We the same. Come on.
And ye shall flee when none pursueth
Come
you.
on.
And if ye will not yet for all this hearken unto me, then I will punish you 7 times more for your sins.
All right, read this. This is heavy. Verse 19.
And I will break the pride of your power.
I will break the pride of your power. What is that going into? The pride of your power being your black nationalism. The power being your Black Panther parties. The power being your revolutionaries like Nelson Mandela and many others we're going to get in the next couple minutes. I'm going to break the pride of your power, and then I'm going to show you that you're nothing, and then I'm going to give you voting rights. I'm going to create dissension between you and your people, and I'm going to remind you who is over you. You understand that? That happened here, and it's happening in South Africa as well. Go ahead.
And I will break the pride of your power, and I will make your heaven as iron.
You see that? Now, let's go to Jim Crow. All right, let's look at the distinction between these two while we have some time, and let's see what that's talking about. Okay, go ahead. What is Jim Crow?
Jim Crow refers to the system of legal segregation and racial discrimination.
Did we not just read that about apartheid? Legal segregation and racial discrimination. Come on.
That dominated the American South from the late 19th century until the mid-20th century.
Come on.
It was a way of life characterized by laws and practices that enforced separation and inequality between black and white people in nearly every aspect of daily life.
Every aspect of daily life. It affected everything. So make sure you're teaching your children these things. Make sure you're teaching your nephews. Even as brothers and sisters that have nieces and nephews or sons and daughters outside of the laws, they need to know this about their enemies. Yeah. Okay? Yeah. Go ahead. Yep, go up and then show more. And then just read the first one.
Legal segregation. Jim Crow laws mandated segregation in public facilities like schools, transportation, restrooms, and restaurants.
You see that? It's the same exact thing as what happened in what's called apartheid in South Africa. Okay? Go to the next link. Can Jim Crow be compared to apartheid? Your enemies know this, okay? Sure, yeah, show that. What is Jim Crow? Real quick. So Jim Crow was a what they called a minstrel show, and it was a show where they put on blackface, and it was dancing and cooning and jiving to show what they call just read that. I forget what the word is.
Thomas Rice. The name Jim Crow is often used to describe the segregation laws, rules, and customs which arose after Reconstruction ended in 1877 and continued until the mid-1960s. How did the name become associated with these black codes?
Okay, how did it become associated? Come on.
Which took away many of the rights which had been granted to black people through the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments. Come listen, all you gals and boys. I'm going to sing a little song. My name is Jim Crow. Wheel about and turn about and do just so. Every time I wheel about, I jump Jim Crow.
Come on. Go down to where it says whether some accounts. You see under the picture, it says -- some accounts. Zoom in a little bit if you can. Not that picture, the other, hold on. It says, damn, hold on, no, go back up. Where's the -- right there. Dang, is this the same one? Yeah, it's the same one. All right, just keep reading.
These words are from the song Jim Crow as it appeared in sheet music written by Thomas Dartmouth, Daddy Rice. Rice, a struggling actor, he did short solo skits between play scenes at the Park Theater in New York. Happened upon a black person singing the above song.
Okay, come on. Here it is.
Some accounts say it was an old black enslaved man who walked with difficulty. Others say it was a raged black stable boy. Whether modeled on an old man or a young boy, we will never know. But we know that in 1828, Rice appeared on the stage as Jim Crow, an exaggerated, highly stereotypical black character.
There you go. He was a highly stereotypical black character. So they was making fun of the struggles and the oppression that we were going through. Okay, that's what they did. To be a byword, a proverb. Same thing. Okay, go to the next article. So when you hear Jim Crow, it refers to the oppression of the South, segregation, in black codes, but they also had this Jim Crow song by Thomas Rice who played in theaters to portray the stereotypes of black people and our oppression that we were going through, okay? To mock us. Go to the next one. Go to the next one. Can Jim Crow be compared to apartheid? Did I send that one? Okay. Yep, bring it up.
Yes, Jim Crow and apartheid can be compared as both were systems of racial segregation, designed to maintain white dominance and marginalize non-white populations.
You see that? To maintain white dominance. If white dominance is still maintained to this day, guess what? We're still under Jim Crow. We're still under apartheid. No matter how you try to paint it over, if they still have white dominance and marginalized non-white dominant or whatever the case may be, guess what? You still under that. You are under the hands of those that hate you. Bring that article back up. Let's finish it.
While they had distinct contexts and mechanisms, both enforced racial discrimination, denied civil rights, and created systems of inequity.
Yeah, inequity. There you go. Go down to racial segregation.
Racial segregation. Both systems mandated separate public facilities, housing, education, and other aspects of life based on race.
You see that? Based on race or based on the fact that we are the Israelites. It's the same exact thing, okay? Give me Psalms 137, and then I want you to pull up the video I had sent about a white-only town in South Africa, okay? So when they moved in, they brought their laws, traditions, their culture, a new language. Read that. Yeah, start at verse 7. We're going to read to verse 9.
The book of Psalms, chapter 137 and verse 7. Remember, O Lord, the children of Edom, in the day of Jerusalem, who said, raise it, even to the foundation thereof.
Right, so they said, raise it, destroy it to the foundation thereof. Why? So that they could come in, put their people there, change the whole culture, and then wherever we went, they will follow us and say, race it. Then they would continue the same process. Keep going.
O daughter of Babylon, who art to be destroyed.
Who art what?
Who art to be destroyed.
Esau, the so-called white man, is considered, or they are also called the daughter of Babylon, who is what?
Art to be destroyed.
So have faith in that. Have hope in that. This ain't going to last always. What the scripture say? Weeping endure for a night, but joy will come in the morning. You understand? Because they will be destroyed. Keep reading.
Happy shall he be that rewarded thee as thou hast served us.
Come on.
Happy shall he be that taketh and dasheth thy little ones against the stone.
The Lord says in that day we're going to be happy. Right now oh no, that's sad. Oh my God, no. The Lord said we're going to be happy. You understand? And that's going to be a commandment. The Lord going to change our mind. He's going to change our heart and our spirit. So you just be patient, okay? Play that video that you got right there. Let's look at what's going on right now still in South Africa. Go ahead.
Deep in the northern Cape of South Africa is a controversial town like no other, a place that has no black residents, where only white Afrikaners call home, and it has been in existence since 1991, even after the feared apartheid regime that segregated black South Africans.
You see that? So it said even after apartheid. This is whites only town. Keep playing.
That segregated black South Africans.
Orania is a whites-only town. Black people cannot live or work here. Every job is reserved for the whites.
Do I believe that places like Orania should exist? No. Do I believe that Orania is racist? Of course.
The white Afrikaners only community of Orania got their own currency, their own flag, their own government, and make their own policies.
Right here in Orania, we have our own private security company.
And of course, we have our own airstrip here in Orania.
In Orania, we're building a city, so we have our own construction company.
Have you ever sold property to anyone who is not African speaking?
No.
If I have
Hold
money,
that.
how much?
So it says, have you ever sold property to anyone that is not Afrikaans speaking? Remember, the Afrikaans are the Dutch. Those are the Dutch people that came in. They got their own money, their own flag, their own government, their own airport, their own security. You understand that? In South Africa, after apartheid. Don't let these things fool you. Do not let these people fool you. These Afrikaners are the same people that came in there and destroyed the land. Now they want to seek refuge. Now when we give a little fight back, they want to, we need help. It's not, Patient Saints brought it out. You understand? They coming in and getting farmland. They got deals with the devil, or the devil over here on this side. Okay, play. We're going to finish up here soon. I got a little bit more, and we're going to finish up. Come on.
Property to anyone who is not African speaking?
No.
If I have money, how much you sell? If I have money, you think I can buy?
Yeah.
Because I am not African.
It seems the long-term goal is to cut off from South Africa to build a white-only country.
Republic.
Let me ask you,
problem.
if you had your way to make Orania its own country, would you contribute to that?
Yes, I think it would be nice.
Above all, I am here to investigate what drives a community to build life completely separate from the country around them, and if these people are truly practicing racial segregation in South Africa.
Absolutely. The answer is yes. All right. The answer is yes. To this day. All right. Let's pull up that that article where it said anti-apartheid fighters in South Africa. I got a couple videos of what I saw personally, and then we'll finish up. Go ahead. All right. So just like we have revolutionaries here in America, South Africa also had revolutionaries. We're going to read a little bit about that, and then we're going to continue and finish up this class. Okay, go ahead.
In South Africa, prominent figures associated with revolutionary movements and the fight against apartheid include Nelson Mandela.
A lot of people have read about them. And listen, if you want to learn more about these people, bring them up on YouTube. Okay, show your children. All right, come on.
Oliver Tambo, Walter Sisulu, and Winnie Mandela. These individuals played key roles in organizing the anti-apartheid movement.
So not only was Nelson Mandela part of the fight, his wife was part of the fight too. Y'all sisters can't be separate from your lords. You understand? We need revolutionary wives. Come on.
Both internally in South Africa and internationally, and were instrumental in the eventual dismantling of the apartheid regime.
Just like the civil rights movement here in America. It's the same exact thing. Go ahead.
Nelson Mandela, a global icon of the anti-apartheid movement. Mandela was a leader of the African National Congress, ANC, and served as South Africa's first president after the end of apartheid.
All right, last, we're going to read one more. Oliver Tambo.
Oliver Tambo, a fellow ANC leader, Tambo was a key figure in the organization's exile, working to build international support for the cause.
Right, so international support. If you're talking about you can't go out, you don't need to go outside of where you at, something's wrong with you. We need organizers. We need organization in and outside of the United States of America. International. You understand? And that's why we go international. The mind of a revolutionary is always to bring his people both domestic and abroad. together. You understand that? All right? So don't get it twisted. All right, let's go to what I saw firsthand, and then we're going to close it out, okay? You might have a couple videos that I saw firsthand, and we're gonna see some strange things. What are these instances that I want to bring up? So that wasn't me talking, but I did get the footage. Go ahead. So what you see here are houses, all right, that every single one of them had high voltage, warning, high voltage, high voltage, high voltage, had high walls, it had barbed wire all over the place. And I'm like, dang, why? This is in Cape Town. Play that. Look at that. It looked like prisons. I'm like, yo, what in the... All right, go to the next one. I posted like 5, but, you know, let's just do like maybe 2. Gated communities, high voltage warning. All right, they look at that barbed wire all over the place. I'm like, yo, what in the world? I'm trying to figure out why it was like that. Okay, and I had like 3 more videos of the same thing as we continue. We don't have to post that, but go to the chat GPT. Shout out to Officer Carmine. He sent this. He was next to me, and he looked this up. All right, so I wanted to know why this was happening. Read where it says, go up a little bit. It says visible deterrent.
Visible deterrent to intruders.
Right, so they say it's a visible deterrent to intruders, but here's the real thing. Number 2, go ahead.
Legacy of inequality. Apartheid era segregation created deep wealth disparities. Today, many affluent areas are located near impoverished communities.
So the Dutch, Idumea, Esau came in and pushed our people out, and they live near impoverished communities. Really?
This proximity often results in security anxiety.
It's called what?
Security anxiety.
Security anxiety. So the reason that they have high voltage and barbed wire is because of security anxiety. They know they're not supposed to be there. And they're afraid because that they are there, the Lord is going to, they know the Lord is going to return their destruction upon their own head. So they're anxious at every move. Read.
Especially in suburbs bordering townships or informal settlements.
Come on, finish that. Number 3.
Lack of trust in public policing. While South Africa has a national police service, public confidence in its responsiveness and effectiveness is low in many communities. As a result, many residents rely on private security companies, which often recommend and monitor electric fences as part of home security systems.
Heavy, okay? That's a heavy thing right there. So that's what they do, okay? That is what they do. All right, bring up that last video. So we got the Afrikaans, we got the Afrikaners. Now they say that they're being persecuted and all of this stuff. Listen, don't believe the hype, okay? They took over, now they're coming over here, and they're still, they're making deals with the devil to continue to expand their Berlin Conference and what the group acts and all of that other stuff that they're putting it in place. Esau thinks ahead. All right, read that. All right, play that. Yep, play that video. Read.
This group of 49 white South Africans were welcomed as refugees. Trump administration officials greeted them as they arrived in the U.S. South Africa's white Afrikaner minority.
No, Afrikaner.
Afrikaner minority is relatively wealthy.
Is relatively wealthy. What? When you look at refugees, it's usually the poor. It's usually those that need help. These are the same people we've been reading about since the beginning. The Afrikaners, the Dutch that came in there and took over the land. That's still there in Orania. They have their own security in airports and all of that other stuff. Come on.
They make up 7% of the population, but own 73% of all private land.
You see that? Come on.
The Trump administration says they are victims of race-based oppression.
Race-based, they're victims. This is some
The
stuff.
president made it clear that Afrikaners in South Africa who were the victims of unjust racial discrimination would be welcome to come to the United States, and he's now delivering on that promise.
Trump went as far as saying white South Africans were victims of genocide.
He went as far as saying. Bruh. Esau be lying, boy. Come on.
An accusation met with denial and ridicule in South Africa.
Right. If it's happening, then pull it up. If it's happening, show us undeniable proof of this that it continues to happen, that they're going through so much genocide. We could show you throughout history and the scriptures that Esau has been doing it to us for years, for thousands of years. Liars, man. Come on.
The welcome for white South Africans contrasts with an immigration purge, in which thousands of undocumented migrants have been rounded up.
So Israel's being rounded up and pushed out. Then you have these Afrikaners who's taking over their lands, their houses, their places of residence. It's no coincidence, Israel. Read our play.
And some deported to mega jails in El Salvador. This Cuban mother was deported after her immigration appointment, leaving her infant daughter with her husband, who is a U.S. citizen. When they put us on the plane, it was horrible.
Sorry, we don't have to read through this. She was taken away from her husband and her child.
You have stood up to injustice.
Pro-Palestine activists have also been targeted by immigration officers.
All right, so we'll end with that. But listen, Esau, they say that undocumented people aren't supposed to be coming in, and they're supposed to be here. But then you bring the Afrikaners, the Dutch, in here, undocumented, now they get all type of support, and they're relatively wealthy people. Esau, if you don't know or if you forgot, Esau is the damn devil that the Bible speaks of. Don't ever forget that. All right, don't ever forget that. Let's close out with Sirach chapter 12 and verse 10. All right, I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Again, today's class is called Prophecy Fulfilled. Okay, colonialism and apartheid in South Africa. Sirach chapter 12, verse 10. Read that.
The book of Sirach chapter 12 and verse 10. Come on. Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. Though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him.
Beware of him, come on.
And thou shalt be unto him as if thou hast wiped a looking glass. And thou shalt know that his rust have not been altogether wiped away.
Verse 12.
Set him not by thee, lest when he hath overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place.
You see that? Once he's overthrown thee, he's going to stand up in thy place. That's what's happening in South Africa. Here in America, it is the same exact thing. Our enemies are the devil that the Bible speaks of. Finish up in verse 17.
Verse 17. Come on. If adversity come upon thee, thou shalt find him there first.
Thou shalt find thy enemy there first. Race it to the foundations thereof. Come on.
And though he pretend to help thee,
even though he pretends to give you benefits and rights, read.
Yet shall he undermine thee.
He's going to undermine thee and take your land. Put in a new city within your country, and try to get make a new country in your country. You see that? So never trust your enemies, okay? This is History in the AM. I pray that you learn something enough to teach your children and that they teach their children. All right, bring that QR code up. Listen, if you haven't followed us and given to the Booster Club, where we at? Right here? Right there. Donate to the Booster Club. Okay, you can text to give and also scan and give to the Booster Club. How are they going to know that they're Israel unless the prophets go out and teach them? It says, bring Judah to his brothers and let them be a help unto them. If you want your people to get helped, be a help unto the children of Israel, all right, and to Judah, all right, and the rest of the tribes. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you go ahead and scan the QR code right now, all right? That way you can get access to all our social media platforms and make sure that you are in the know. All right? So all praises to the Most High God. All right, so again, I'm Officer Baruch. I got Marita, Officer Uriah. I got the IT team. All praises to the Most High. Got Officer Kim. Got Officer Soldier Jariah. Got security. All praise to the Lord. And make sure you stay faithful, stay tuned. Shalom. Most High in Christ bless.
What is a nation? Nation is men leading by example. Nation is family. Nation is community. Nation is children with role models. Nation is unity.